opinion as to what you think. So there's some consultants in the aisles walking around. If you can just take a survey and fill it out in the meantime, it would be greatly appreciated. Fair enough? Without your help, we're not gonna be able to do it. How are you doing? Okay.
Um, a couple of people. Um.
Put me out there for Mr. Kowalski. Okay, I'm glad she is. Now I'm gonna come upstairs. Bye.
Saturday? Oh, yeah, so look, she even knows more than me. Thank you.
Yes.
And it's on my.
I'm a perfectionist. Don't you put it on the top? This is nice. You know? Yes, yeah. Good, good, I mean, good. Great. What do you think?
Yes. Is going to waste my money? Yes. Yes. Lord.
I mean, it's fine. I think the website is good, the email address is good. We should have had a website. It's the regular website.
Yes.
June.
Yeah, I saw this, told me yesterday, they said today. So we did that, one extra one.
Yeah, that's gonna be in the line. It's big.
It's the one in the harbor. This one, this is.
I heard what?
We're good? All right, so, um, the people online, could I get a thumbs up if you can hear me, please? The people online, please give me a thumbs up. Um, on this computer, can you just fill up the signs? Never mind. Right next slide. I got it. Hope I got it. Now, I wanted to get. All right, so I'm going to get started. So everyone, please have a seat. Can everyone please have a seat? Mr. Pampalone, it is great seeing you, sir. I haven't seen you in a few months. How's everything going? Also, there's no. What special buttons? Oh, special. I think it will go under presentation. Bear with me. Finish with the X right there. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Roderick Daly. The time is now 7:10. So we're 10 minutes behind schedule, and I am calling this meeting to order. Chair Antoine, can you also bring me a copy of the agenda? And also whatever agencies, please make sure you signed up. You sign up for where is needed. All right, so my report. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers. And we are great and needed to recognize ourselves for our roles in our families and the importance of those roles within our families. The board has partnered with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke's office. Everybody should get this flyer right here. Please do come out next week, Wednesday. It's a greet and listen between the board and Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. It's going to be held at Meyer 11 Intermediate School, which is right at the corner of Beverly and Ralph. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact myself at CB17 chairperson or contact the board's office to find out more information on that. 4, thank you. I want to say special thank you to Chair Prasad. Where is she? Want to say special thank you to Chair Prasad for the work that she put in for our meet and greet on June 7th. It was very well attended. Unfortunately, we didn't get some of our partners in, but we'll work very much to do that in the fall to make sure some of you who didn't make it will be able to make it then. 5th, there's no summer sessions. There are no summer sessions for the general board. However, there'll be events happening at the board levels. Though it will be on the website or specific chair. I know that Chair Antoine and Chair Grandison both have some events coming up over the summer, and they'll be discussing that. Also, there's some issues with our bike lanes and bike racks, and those conversations will be coming up as well over the summer. So please stay keen to the board and the board's website to ensure that we're doing whatever needs to be done. Also, because we have a vacated position on the executive officers of the board, Dion Comina, who's our second vice chair, has not been reappointed to the board. And according to the bylaws, I am allowed to appoint somebody to fill that position for the vacated position, and then we'll have an election in September for the position of second vice chair. So with that, I've appointed our Chair of Commerce, Chair Prasad, as the second vice chair of the board. So please welcome her to the podium, Chair Prasad. Fencing off. I'm hoping our district manager give a lot more detail on Utica and Farragut that I saw with all the cars and the abandoned, what it seems to be abandoned cars. So we've worked very diligently with a bunch of different departments. When she gives her report, hopefully, is that going to be part of your report, Ms. Frazier, district manager? I didn't hear you. Okay, you're making, so we're part of a whole bunch of departments, and if you drive by there, it's now fenced up. I see Member Deontay is very excited about that, so that's exciting for all of us. On a very sad note, and at some point, when the meeting gets more people are here, I am going to ask for a recognition. We have lost one of our board members, our former board members, Mr. Lloyd Dixon. He passed away, and at approximately, in a little bit, I will ask for special order of business to recognize him. CBRE, and the move. So that's in progress. Chair Prasad will be talking about that in her report as well. About CBRE is the move, where we're moving to what that looks like, and she'll follow up with that. The Shirley Chisholm Rec Center. I've gotten an email that they will start groundbreaking the week of the 27th. I just wanted a confirmation on that, but the week of the 27th, which is next week. They were scheduled to start Monday the 26th, but my email said the 27th. So as of the 27th, that part, they're going to start with the groundbreaking for the rec center. The libraries. I was very honored to be part of the reopening of the library on East 96 and Church. Well, it's on Church, but East 96, you know, for us that grew up in the days in the 90s and the 80s, well, 90s, 80s, that area, we're very familiar with the library, and that they have done a yeoman's job to bring it up to stage, up to par. And I was very honored to be part of the grand reopening of the library. And if anyone who has not gotten the opportunity to go and see the library and participate, it's a dying art and we need to lift it up. We can't ask for the library and we don't use it. So again, East 96 has been reopened and also the Rugby Library as well. That has been open for a while, but it has given us a lot of opportunities to do things within our community. Happy graduation to all of our recent graduates. I see my Facebook page is filling up from kindergarten all the way up to college. So congratulations. If you have somebody in your family who have graduated, also congratulations to that. The last thing I want to discuss, to say, is that things, I want to be clear, things that are discussed at the committee level will not be debated on the floor level. So it's like, for example, we have 7 liquor license, we're going to approve or disapprove of the liquor license. It's not up for debate because that was, if you have a debate with any issue, we have, this is one board that has way many, that's not the word I was looking for, but we have a lot of committees. And so discussions are done at the committee level, so everyone, in interest of time at this board level. So when Chair Prasad comes, I know there's some here, and some other committees that have things to discuss. Please note, again, it's done at the committee level. With that being said, that ends my report. Oh yes, I'm sorry. The minutes, we've been having, again, this is the year of the bad minutes, right? All the things that are happening, we are way behind in the minutes, and unfortunately, some of these minutes will not be ready until midsummer to be approved in September, unfortunately. But they should be available for viewage, not to vote on during the middle of the summer. With that, that ends my, does it end the report? No, I have some, I like to, I like to recognize all of some, and I'm going to do this real fast. We, at the event meet and greet, we recognize all of the executive officers. And if there are any that I see Dr. Renault, so Dr. Renault, please come up. Just, you know, our committee, executive officers, in case you don't know, have been doing an incredible job getting things done and recognition within our community. So I just want to make sure that I recognize you for the work that you're doing. Dr. Chair Craig. I'm looking for Carol's. Is that it? Miss Reed? No, not Miss Ferguson's not here. Where's Carol's? Oh, we have 2 for Kenrick. Seems like we did 2 for Kenrick, Miss Dr. Renault. We did 2 for Kenrick and not 1 for you. So we're gonna try to get back to you. Chair Reed. She was recognized, but we did not have it for her. Chair Grandison. Please come up. Chair Frey. Chair Westcott is not here. And who else am I missing? Chair. And okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Where's Gail? It is here. So I just picked up. Check this. Oh, mine is in my car. iPhone's one. Good best.
Thank
I thank you. District Manager report. District Manager. After the District Manager, we'll have committee reports.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, my goodness, I thought,
Can the people online please mute yourselves? The people online, please mute yourselves. We're getting the feedback in the audience.
good evening again. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. I am going to be very brief. The chairperson of the board give all the congratulations, all the accolades, and he acknowledged those who are supposed to be acknowledged in his report. And in the interest of time, I am going to be very brief. This is our last meeting for this fiscal year. We resume in September of 2023. However, the office remains open. Feel free to call us with any complaints or questions that you may have. The staff will be there to serve you. Office number 718-434-3072. We continue to work with the Department of Citywide Administrative Services on the proposed new location. Ms. Prasad will give an update later in the meeting. We also have a number of activities planned for the months of July and August. Flyers are in the back. I also encourage you to visit the board's website to stay up to date with our planned summer activities. The first vice chair is not here, but we are working on our capital and expense budget. The capital projects are items that last at least 5 years and cost at least $35,000. The capital budget is a plan for investment in the city's infrastructure. It provides funding for purchasing properties, the construction of facilities, improvements of existing facilities, and the purchase and installation of major equipment. That's the capital portion. The expense portion the funding is provided directly to the city agencies to maintain personnel, employee salaries, in addition to the purchasing of equipment, tools, and supplies needed for service delivery. I am encouraging everyone in this room to participate in the budget process. It is so important to our community. If you're interested, please leave your name in the back, and either myself or Mr. Cunningham will reach out to you. We really, really need your participation in the capital and expense budget process. 1437 Utica Avenue, the chair mentioned it earlier. That's right at the corner of Farragut and Utica. There were a number of agencies. Community Board 17 is not the only agency that worked on this, on ensuring that the safety of our community residents, and especially the business across the street, that their clientele, could walk freely and not look back to see if there's someone burning a truck or a van or something at that location. Thanks to the NYPD, they were out there with us. Thank you, Inspector, for assisting us in this regards. The fire department, the buildings department, HPD eventually the sheriff's office. HPD eventually fenced the location, and presently we have a band that's practicing there for the carnival. So it's being used. I did ask that they end at 11 p.m. so that their music and noise will not interfere with the neighbors around the area. So they're there, they're practicing, enhancing the skills of our young men and women in the community. And that ends my report. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer. Going once, going twice. Hearing none. Everyone, please have a happy and a safe summer. And I will now yield the floor back to the chairperson of the board.
All right, thank you very much. The next agenda item will be committee reports. Hospitality is not present. Budget is not present. Commerce, followed by education and youth.
Good evening, everyone. My name is June Prasad. I'm the Chair of the Commerce Committee, CB17. I want to extend an invitation to the Commerce Committee Sumptuous Sample. This is a must-attend event. I don't want to hear that, sorry, I missed it, because it's a real great event. It's on June 27th from 6 to 10 at J Love. Free food, free wine, free giveaway, etc. It's a nice event to really be exposing the businesses in the community. So hopefully I can see you all there, including Inspector Sibi. All right, you got the invite?
I heard it was a special giveaway. Is there one
Yeah, dinner for two from one of the very nice restaurant. I'm gonna leave that as a surprise. Actually, two dinner for two gifts. You can't get better than that, right? Am I gonna see everyone there? All right, thank you very much.
I was trying to let the cat out of the bag, but she won't. Chair Grandison, followed by Chair Frey.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gail Grandison. I'm the Chair of the Youth and Education Committee. I just want to note our last meeting was June 14th, and I want to once again welcome all the new members that we had, those who were in attendance. I just want to briefly let you guys know that our upcoming event is Youth Happening August 10th at Partagate Park. If you're interested in attending, donating, or want to get involved in any way, form, or fashion, there's a package in the back. You can reach out to some of the summer camp organizations in the community and just let them know you can help that way. You can help with donations.
Can we again ask people online to please mute yourselves? Thank you.
Yes, so as I was saying, there's a packet in the back. If you need more information, if you can kindly contact the board, and we'll be able to assist you to give you more information around Youth Happening. I want to wish everyone a safe and joyful and happy summer, and we'll see you in September or August 10th. Thank you.
Land use,
Good
followed
evening.
by Parks and Beautification.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. On June 1st, the Land Use Committee had our last meeting of the year. And we had some late news, but good news. On November 7th of last year, a portion of CB17 was established as a cease and desist zone, which ultimately means that any solicitation that you're getting from real estate developers can now be punished from the state of New York. We have the forms, complaint forms, and the registration links for the neighborhood on the website. I believe Ms. Thomas posted it. And if you do need to get any more information, you can feel free to contact me or the office to press forward with that. Also, the Yurlip application for Kings Highway Storage Facility is being reviewed by the City Planning Commission and actually the City Council on the 26th, which I think is Monday. They have 50 days to review it, and then ultimately we'll know what the outcome of that is. Last week, they decided to have an impromptu conversation with the Whitty Lane residents, which are the residents that are directly affected on the back of the lot by the property, and they basically explained the changes because they actually amended the original application. So that happened last week, I think on Tuesday. We were present. They were forthright, but it didn't seem like it was going to go in their direction. ultimately, and the residents seem to be happy with that. And on July 14th, this between 6 and 8, you'll see the solicitations and the marketing material go out. We'll be having an estate planning event at Eureka Fellowship Church. The idea of the event is to just inform the community on how to educate and utilize trust and various other forms of estate planning to protect your identity as you age and not be able to take care of it yourself. And that concludes my report. Good?
Thank you so much, Chair Frey. Chair Antoine, followed by Chair Dr. Renaud.
Good evening, everyone. On June 4th, at our last meeting, we had an emergency preparedness presentation that was well attended. So I am sure that by now, my members, they know how to take care of themselves in case of an emergency outdoor. On June 19, our event at Tilden Park was unfortunately canceled because the air quality advisory. However, on September, we don't have a set date yet. We are working with New York City Partnership for Parks so we can have a Know Your Park tour. So take your family to visit the parks because a lot of people in CB17, they don't know the parks in CB17. If you do some research, you will know our parks are good for your health and well-being. So you need to know your parks. So you can call the office at 718-434-3072 to be part of this beautiful event. We'll also do some cleaning and planting around the parks. If you want to be our partner as well, please let us know. When you call, give your name and number and email address, and I will definitely follow up with you so you can be part of this beautiful Know Your Park event. So we will visit several parks in CB17. I hope to see you. Refreshment will be served. On August 19 at Pottergate Park, we are still recruiting people for our healthy eating and healthy cooking event. So we need to know how to eat and cook on a small budget. So we are still looking for partners. If you need to table in our beautiful event at Pottergate Park, please call the office at 718-434-3072 and let me know. Then I can follow up with you and let you know the modality. If there is a question for me, I will be in the back. Thank you.
Are there any questions for our Parks and Beautification Chair? Seeing none, Chair Frey. Okay, I'm sorry, because you're standing there, that's why, sorry. Dr. Renaud, no report, all right, thank you. Social Services. Chair Montserrat.
Hello, everyone. My name is Montserrat Oni. I am the chair of the Social Services Committee. We meet every fourth Monday of the month. Our next and last meeting will be June 26th. And we would appreciate if anyone would like to come out and help us plan some of the social services activity for the next fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. Transportation. All right, so our former second vice chair was the chair. We did hold a transportation committee meeting. One item will be on the agenda today for voting. The other main topic of conversation was about the bike share. The New York City wants to put up 31 new bike share places within Community Board 17. One of the arguments that we've made as a committee, and to be very strong about that argument, is that we are very much a two-fare zone community, and 31 parking spaces, 31 bike share, 18 on street, 13 on the sidewalk, will, with all the other things that have been added to our community, it's not feasible to add that many bike share, because we're looking at, when you look at 31, even if it's not on street, if it's on street, 18 of them would be on street. So 18 is approximately almost 50-something parking spaces that we will lose within our community, plus the car share, plus the new buildings going up, plus all of these different things is adding to some of the difficulties. So they're looking back We had discussed with them areas that they could look at, that we could partner with, but the amount of areas that they're looking at, it's not feasible. So they're really visiting that again. The other, which I told you will come up, we have a vote in on the street code naming, and that will come up in the session. I'm not sure, did I forget anything, Mr. Tate? I'm just looking at you. That's about it, right? That's the bulk of the meeting. All right, so that ends the transportation report. As of July 1st, we'll have a new chair for transportation, depending on some other issues as well. All right, with that being said, personnel. Rose? No, we can't hear you.
Good evening, everyone. Rose Graham, I'm the chair of the Personnel Committee. We had some kinks, a few kinks, but we are at a better place now, and I look forward to better things, and that's the end of the report. I'm excited because things started off a little rocky, but we are in a better place. Thank you.
Black Association. Postal Services not here. Communications, Chair Montserrat. Followed by bylaws and rezoning, and then Brookdale Cab.
Hi, again, I am standing in as acting communications chair for the next couple of months, and just want to say that we could use volunteers for helping to update the website, update the social media, really get the messages of the community board out to the community. So if anyone is interested in volunteering, please let the district manager know and she will connect you with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Bylaws with rezoning. I'm both. Okay. Brookdale?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Janice Reed, and I am the CB17 rep under Brookdale Cab. Just to let you know that the Brookdale received approval from the grant that they got to rebuild the emergency room. So that the first phase of that will be commencing soon. It's going to take about 12 to 14 months to complete. The OBH Brookdale health fair that was previously scheduled on Saturday, June 10th was rescheduled due to the air quality advisory. And that new date is for the health fair is going to be on Saturday, August 26th. A new flyer will be sent out, and when I receive that, I'll send it out to the board members. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that ends all committee reports. We're now going to agents report. Inspector Celebro. Also, if there anyone online that's representing not a political person, an agency, please make sure you put your name in the chat so that we can call you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. Sir, good to see you. It's good to see everyone here. My name is Gabby Saliva. I'm the commanding officer of the 67th Precinct. Really brief, I want to wish everyone a safe summer that's coming up. Obviously, this being our last meeting for the season. We resume back in September. The next time I'm hoping to see you is hopefully our National Night Out. I want you to mark that on your calendar, please. It's going to be over on East 53 in Church, East 53 between Church and Snyder. We're working on the flyer now. Please just watch out for it being posted on our social media page and also being shared with our community board and the community council. So there'll be plenty of time for you to actually get all the information that you need in terms of times. But it'll be the first Tuesday of August. all right? First Tuesday of August is August 1st. Please come out, show support for the community. It's exactly what it sounds like, National Night Out Against Crime, all right? For the precinct overall, we're doing pretty good. We're down 4% in crime overall, which is a great thing for us because this time last year, we were struggling. We were up maybe in the upwards of 15% last year this time. So for us to be down 4% for the year is tremendous, and it's testament to the community, and it's a testament to the police officers at the 6-7 precinct, all the hard work that they're doing. All right, just a couple of quick, maybe things of note is we did take a homicide over on Glenwood and East 45. Unfortunate, young man gets shot. You know, he succumbed to his injuries and he did pass away. The location where the incident happened, we are working with the manager of that location, is very responsive. Had a meeting with them just to kind of see what went wrong in terms of the incident taking place inside of one of our event halls, right? We don't want that to happen, but they're being very responsible in terms of being responsive and talking to me and for us to kind of go over some things to eliminate some of those liabilities that took place and to avoid anything from happening. This summer is going to be very important for us, right? Summer's already started. For us, it was May 1st, right, at the precinct level. The plan that we have in place, one of the components is having extra officers being at certain hotspots that we know historically have seen an uptake in activity. So those officers, about 40 of them, they're divided into 2 separate zones that I have mapped out in the precinct. So far, it's working. The primary goal for these officers in those blocks is for them, one, to make sure they walk up and down the blocks, make sure they speak and engage the business owners on that block, make sure they engage the residents on the block, and then obviously to deter any type of violence, any type of index crimes, and a big issue is quality of life, obviously, responding to any type of quality of life issue that may be going on and that the community may be complaining about, be it drinking out in public, be it obviously urinating out in public, loud music at a certain time, the 311 complaints that we normally get on a nightly basis, especially on the weekends. And then when it comes to the summer, those complaints tend to go up. So those officers are doing a great job. We getting them from the other neighboring precincts because we don't have enough officers in the 6-7 precinct to kind of what's the word I'm looking for, to supply to those zones. So we need those extra officers from the outside to come in. So very important with that. I think that's it. I don't want to go over my 3 minutes, which I probably overdid. I do bad with the timing, but with that said, I want to wish everybody a safe summer. We're going to be here. Obviously, 6-7 precinct is not going anywhere. We're not going to be closed for the summer. We're going to be operating 24/7 like we are to protect you, your property, and your family. So if there's any questions, I'll be in the back for a little while, or if you want to take questions now, I'll do so.
We have room for about 2 questions. We have room for about 2 questions, unless it's personal. We could talk to detective. No? Oh, you got off easy today. All right, thank you. I saw Brooklyn Public Library. Are there any other agency in here? I don't have the list in front of me. Agency, not a government representative.
All right. Good evening. I am Stephanie. I am the branch manager at the Rugby branch, and this is.
Good night, everybody. I'm Donette Riker, the assistant branch manager at East Flatbush. Thanks for having us.
Yes. Just a couple of things. At the Rugby Library, we are a participatory budgeting voting site. The last day to vote is 6/25. So if you haven't voted for Brooklyn or for the 11203 zip code yet, you can do that there. We are having a community baby shower in partnership with the East Flatbush Community Partnership and the 6-7 Precinct Clergy Council next week on the 29th from 2 to 7. There's flyers in the back, so tell anybody with children, moms-to-be, there'll be a lot of resources. And then we have summer meals coming up as well, starting on July 5th. So all children 18 and under can get free cold lunch at the libraries between 1 and 2 p.m. And there's at least 1/3 of all branches that I think are participating. Let me yield to Donnette.
Thanks, Stephanie. Yes, Rugby and East Flatbush together will be two of the branches that are participating in the summer meals. And as was mentioned earlier on tonight, the East Flatbush branch, we did reopen again, finally, on June 2nd. And I'm sorry, on June 6th, and definitely encourage everybody to stop by and take a look. It was a gut renovation. Their building is brand new, new books, and also there's some calendars in the back just highlighting different programs, particularly story times, arts and crafts, and computer classes for the public. And I think that's all. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and just to mention, summer reading, summer at BPL, is starting to keep kids engaged while school is out. So encourage your young people to stop by the library to pick up their game board. We'll have more information about that as well. And we're here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Are there, Chair Munster, are there any questions for the BPL? What time is summer reading during the course of the day? All day, or is it a specific time?
In terms of like giving out the stuff for summer reading,
Yes.
That's all day. So there was supposed to be a system-wide kickoff on January 8th, but unfortunately because
June.
I'm sorry, June. Apologies.
Yeah.
On June 8th, but because of the air quality problem, we had to postpone it. So now each branch is actually launching at a different date. But in terms, like when that happens, people can come pretty much any time of the day to get one of the giveaway bags that we've been giving out.
Right.
And free books.
Yes.
And we don't have to pay any more fines, right?
No.
All right, good. I could go back to the library. Is there any other questions? Yes, Ms. Belen.
Oh, apologies that happened. So we had a department within Brooklyn Public Library, our Community Affairs Department, that they were doing email blasts and also flyers. But apologies that if the information didn't reach you. So apologies for that. But that's how a large portion of the information was given out to the community. You're welcome. Yes, so please come and visit us on 9612 Church Avenue between 96th Street and Rockaway Parkway.
And I would just add to that, if you do want to stay updated too on branch openings or closings or other special events, you can register for one of the email listservs through our website. And we can also walk you through that too.
All right. Thank you, ladies. All right. Next agency, are there any online, Oni?
Somebody from the Chisholm Rec Center made a comment.
Yeah, I can't see with the agenda thing on the screen. Say it again?
Someone from Shirley Chisholm.
Some Shirley Chisholm? Somebody from, Maurice Durant. Did you have a comment?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to let everyone, well, my name is Maurice Durant. I work with McKissick, and we'll be working as consultants for the new Shirley Chisholm Recreation Center. I wanted everyone to know that we're mobilizing, and it's going to start on June 27th, which is next week. I sent out an advisory to the community board, and I'm hoping that it was shared with the community board and maybe even online. So that is as of next week.
Question for you, Mr. Rand.
Yes.
Is there any, I have not gone by the park to see, but was there anything posted by the park to inform people that as of next Tuesday, it will be closed for construction?
Yes. I'm sorry. Continue.
I'm sorry?
No, I said yes. We actually did that last Thursday because we're obligated to give at least a 10-day notice. We actually went out to homes. We went to the school. We have a relationship with the principal, so we were already in contact. The church on 31st Street, we actually have a meeting with him tomorrow. We put it up around like different places as of last Thursday.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Because a number of people have been asking me that question as well.
Yeah, but moving forward, we're hoping to have more meetings, and once the project starts, we'll be doing like 2-week look aheads. So I'll be posting advisories. I'll send it to you guys, and also I'll be sending it out to the putting it in the neighborhood so they know what's happening every 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. And also, please make sure that the district manager and the community board is part of that conversation.
Oh, definitely.
Part of that conversation.
Yes.
All right, any other agency? Seeing none? Community session. Anyone from the community who have anything that they would like to add, subtract, take away, that they want to talk about? Anybody from the community have anything that they want to report? All right, about 10 seconds before I close the session. You're not community, a board member. Community is anybody who's not a board member. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, session is called. Roll call.
Can I say something?
Yes, you may. Of course, Jay. You waited till I said 10 seconds?
I wasn't sure if there was someone else.
No, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Jay Sorid. I am a former resident of Community District 17. From way back, it was the first place I lived. I was born in Brookdale.
Jay, can you speak a little bit louder, please?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to say two things. Number one is there you mentioned the bike share, where there were some issues with the bike share program. And I wanted to mention that the bike share, there's a very strong argument that the city bike had to go through the franchise. It had to go through ULURP. So there's a certain section of the New York City Charter, section 363E2, and that deals with franchises and different land use impacts. So if you want to do something or you want to fight the bike program, 363E2 of the New York City Charter deals with franchises and franchises that may have an effect on land use impacts. It never went through ULURP, and there's ways of fighting it. You can get the public advocate, and even though there's technically a statute of limitations, there's a way of getting around the statute of limitations called void ab initio. And the city bike issue is also similar to the cell phone issue. If somebody wants to fight the cell phones, there's a whole bunch of people who are fighting it. That the cell phones never went through ULURP, and it's 363E2, and it's a negotiating tactic if you want to use that to negotiate with them or fight it. Number two, I wanted to mention a website that I have. It's called eastflatbush.info. It's www.eastflatbush.info. I created the website. It's all of the different projects for Vital Brooklyn that affects Community District 17. So all the different ones on Clarkson Avenue that basically the community should know about are there. I would ask this community board if they can give their opinion on whether they are for Kingsborough West, which is a very large project that is happening from Vital Brooklyn. It deals with 1,090 units and there's no parking for any of the units. It deals with issues of oversaturation of social services. There's 2 homeless shelters, which are going to be rebuilt. That's 364 units. They're going to add 400 units for supportive housing, whose target population is the seriously mentally ill and other homeless and everything like that. So that's around 700. And right across the street from that, on Albany and Clarkson, you have Cambo, which already has 320 units. So you're going to have 1,000 units of supportive housing just at the corner of Albany and Clarkson Avenue. And there's a serious issue of oversaturation of social services. And I hope people get involved with it. I want to also say that what I do is I volunteer. I don't represent anybody. I don't get paid for this. At a previous land use meeting, someone made a statement, a community board member, and said that I had clients that I was representing. And that's why I'm doing this from Long Island. I'm not representing anybody. This is just volunteer work. And there's issues of oversaturation of social services. North of Linden Boulevard, if people don't have parking spots, they're going to start moving out. There's a serious displacement issue. And there's also a safety issue for the kids. So there's a lot of schools there. There's 16 or 17 sex offenders that live at 681 Clarkson. And the other shelter, there's a question of how many more are going to live there. And it's a safety situation when you have 1,000 supportive housing units on Albany and Clarkson and in one neighborhood. So I ask people, treat your neighbors how you would want to be treated. And it should be equally, fairly and equitably distributed. Letitia James, the Attorney General, has to sign off.
You have
on
about 30
681
seconds,
Clarkson.
Jay.
Okay, thank you. So Letitia James has to sign off on this. I would ask if the community boards can give an opinion on 681 Clarkson, then Letitia James, the Attorney General, who has to sign off on 681 Clarkson, may be influenced. And it is going to displace an existing community, which is a TRIE neighborhood. East Flatbush is one of the task force on racial inclusionary and equity neighborhoods, and their voice should be heard. And this issue is being shut down. None of the politicians want to touch it. And I hope you go to eastflatbush.info, take a look at what's coming, and take a look at the schools who are going to be affected.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you.
Are there any other community report? And thank you for that information as well, Jay. Any other committee reports? Seeing none, that session is closed. Roll call. Where are we? Kwame Afraid. Brandon Alfonso. Brandon Alfonso. District Manager, can we have moving forward, like the attendance piece, like this is like generated every month, but there's no continuity. So can we have the moving forward one with all of the names and their attendance instead of giving us a new one every month? Does that make sense? Because then I don't know if, right? All right, we'll talk about it more later. Tiffany Anderson. Tiffany Anderson. I didn't hear you, so just speak up a little bit louder. I see you. I see you now. Where was I? Burlap Antoine. Hassan Bakruddin. Barrington Barrett. Celia Bellin. Teresa Brereton. Louis Brown. Louis Brown. Asher Cunningham excused. Roderick Daly present. Herminia Daniels. Kayla Jean. I'm pronouncing that wrong, but not here to correct me. What was that, Kayla? Natasha Duncan. Natalie Ferguson. Lena Fenderson. Arlene Fields. Allison French Kenton. That's all right. Charles Dahlberg. Rose Graham, Gail Grandison, David Hallam, Michael Hill excused, Julia James, Rhonda Joseph, Emerson Lazelhart, Osney Lewis, Brandon Mutherin, Edith Mark, Austin Najla. Is it Najla Austin? Naj Austin? Could they have it backwards? Khadijah Oluwo. Khadijah. Rodney Pepper Souvenir. Oni Montserrat. Oni, I'm sorry. June Prasad. Janice Reed. Cal Renault. Aaron Roth. Antoinette Menachem Shanowitz. Antoinette Smart. Kamara Swaby. Simone Sylvester. Where? George Tate. Tamara Thomas excused. Hasalati Textor Zoom. I'm so sorry. Margaret Villante. Jessica Welch. Kenrick Westcott. Ivor Wood. Did anyone not hear their name? Okay, let's go back. I got you, Dan, and I got Trisha. I got both of you, but I didn't call your name. I'm sorry. Anybody else didn't hear their name? Okay, sorry. Can you just tally this up for me, please? Let's see if we have quorum. All right, we're now moving into the adoption of minutes. I discussed that earlier. We're moving into the community session. Please note that in the public hearing, in this section, we're not really doing a debate. That was done at the floor. You would be allowed, one or two person might be allowed to make a comment, but then we're just gonna move on with voting according to what the committee has voted to do. If there was quorum. So starting with that, I'm gonna do, since you're working on that, June, I'll do transportation. Mr. Edwards. So I guess I'm changing seat for a minute. For those of you who don't know, this is Kerry Edwards. He came to the board for the second Tuesday, I think June 14th, to look into street co-naming after his mother at 45th Church and Linden, to be renamed after his mom, who tragically passed away last year. His mother, Eleanor Petra Bernard. And so Kerry came to the board with all of the necessary documentations to have the street co-named after her. Do you have any comments before we go to the floor for voting?
Just really thank you to the Transportation Committee for allowing me to present. For many of you who may know my mom, who lived in this community for, Lord, it feels like 40 years. Her life was taken July 22nd, 2022 in her home. I just wanted to thank Farrah Lewis, Councilwoman Farrah Lewis, who's been a friend, Inspector Gabby, who left. They were really instrumental because I wasn't in town when this happened, and they jumped in and helped out. And so really just an honor to my mom and all the work that she's done over her life for Community Board 17 with different elected officials, just the way she's advocated for Black and Brown communities in construction and otherwise. So just really thank you guys for giving me the time, and hope things go well.
All right, so I believe according to the second vice chair, we're one short of quorum. Did anybody come in who did not hear their name, who's a board member? Is he a board member though? What's your name? Brandon Alfonso? Matherin. Oh, perfect. Okay, please, I will say something.
Good evening. Again, my name is June Prasad. I just want to stand to say a few words on behalf of Eleanor Bernard. She was a phenomenal woman, very generous, very kind, very community-oriented. She would give away anything you asked her for. I just want to stand in support of the co-naming of the street, because that's the least we can do after she's gone. Carrie, my condolences, my love, everything. She was indeed a friend. Thank you, everyone.
All right, also, I just wanted to echo some of the sentiments that Chair Prasad spoke about. His mother was a community-oriented person. Also one of the first females to own a female construction company in the state of New York. And to do the work that she did for all those years, and to see how her life was taken away from her so tragically by actually helping someone that eventually took her life. So full support of this co-naming. With that being said, we could do a quick roll call vote, and then we'll go from there. You're Edith, right? You're Edith?
Yes.
All right, very quickly. Roll call. This is the street co-naming for Eleanor Petra Bernard. Could I get the pen, please? Follow me. You're saying yes? Brandon Alfonso is not here. Tiffany Anderson? Yes, thank you. Berlat Antoine? Hassan Bakardin is not here. Barrington Barrett not here. Celia Bellin? Teresa Burton? Yes, no, abstain. Louis Brown is absent. Is present? Louis Brown? No, he's absent. Oh, he's absent. Once you're online, Mr. Brown, since you're a new member, I should inform you that if you're online, you're not considered to be present. You have to be in person at the board. So therefore, you're still absent. Asha Cunningham is absent. Roderick Daly, yes. Herminia Daniels? Yes, no, abstain. Kayla Doctrine, she was absent. Natasha Duncan? Natalie Ferguson? Lena Fenderson? Berlin Fields is not here. Allison French Kenton? Okay, thank you. You're voting on Voting on the street code naming for Eleanor Bernard. Yes, no, abstain. Yes. Allison French Kenton. Charles Galbraith is absent. Rose Graham. Gail Grandison. David Holland is absent, right? Michael Hill is absent. JL James. Rhonda is absent. Emerson is absent. Olsen is absent. Trisha. Brandon Lutheran. Edith. Pardon me? Daniel. Naj. Khadija. Oni. Oni, they keep having it Oni Montserrat. It's the other way around, right? So yours and Naj are opposite. So they got to, can we fix that, please? No, he has it backwards. Has a first name as her last name. Okay. Just hers and Naj and that. Rodney? June? Janice? Carol? Aaron Roth? Menachem? Antoinette? Tamara? Simone? George? Tamara is absent. Hestelar Lati? Absent. Margaret? I didn't open it the floor to a question. I'm sorry. I did say in my thing that he submitted all the necessary documents. Okay, that's fine. I didn't know I didn't open the floor. Did I miss what? Jessica, Kenrick, and Ivor. All right. With that being said, while Chair Prasad gets up to do her presentation, please note that all of the liquor license people, please come up while she's getting up. Liquor license. Here.
Can all the liquor license applicant please come forward? Come on, guys. I know who you are. Okay, just stand in front here. No, you can stand in front. Yeah, that's okay. Mhm. Yes, that's fine. Excuse me, sir.
He's green.
Oh, you're with you, okay. Okay, I'm not gonna go in order oh, he's here, all right, I thought he wasn't here. All right. Are you from Macedonia? Okay. Good evening again, everyone. I'm gonna start okay, yeah, they're in order. Macedonia Tavern is located at 9508 Church Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. They're applying for a new license and a temporary permit. This is a full liquor license application. The police report as follows. 6/12 to 6/12/22 to 6/12/23, 2 complaints report closed. 6/12 to 6/12/23, 2 C summons issued, the status is closed. 6/12/22 to 6/12/23, 1 arrest for a firearm inside the location, that status is closed. The Commerce Committee voted to approve this application. And as the chair said, there will be no questions. I'll move on to the next applicant. RJ Place Inc., is that you, right? Next one, okay. This is a renewal application. She's located at 1058 Rutland Road, Brooklyn, New York. It's full liquor license she has. It's a bar and tavern. She's been in business for 23 years. The police report, there's no incident at this location. The committee voted to approve this applicant. I'll move on to the next. Greenheart Lounge Inc., located at 4703 Church Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. This is a new application requesting a temporary retail permit. It's for a full liquor license, bar and tavern. The police report states on 6/12/22 to 6/12/23, there were 6 311 calls for loud noise. The status is closed. 6/12/22 to 6/12/23, 2 arrests was made. Status closed. The committee voted to approve this application. Moving right along. Silver Cross and Seafood LLC, located at 832 Clarkson Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. This is a renewal. Restaurant, full kitchen and menu required. I think they've been in business for 3 years. There's 1 incident on the police report, 6/12/22 to 6/13/23. There was 1 311 complaint. The status is closed. The committee voted to approve this application. 1 second, Rudy. Quanlux, okay. Restaurant and Lounge LLC, located at 9505 Church Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. This is a new application applying for a temporary retail permit. It's a full liquor license. The police report is there's no incident at this time. The committee voted to approve this application as well. Nostrum Donut Shop of Brooklyn INC, located at 1449 Nostrum Avenue, Brooklyn. This is a new application, full liquor license. It's a bar and tavern. Police report no incident at this location. The committee voted to approve this application as well. Splash Event and Catering LLC, 8821 Ditmas Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, of course. Full liquor license. This is a new applicant with a temporary retail permit request. There is no incident on the police report. The committee voted to approve this application as well. That ends all the application here tonight.
Madam Chair, can you just give me in order from right to
So they're,
left? So I have
so
the right names.
they're in order as the agenda, except for K&L Manor, that was
No,
tabled.
so you're Jabenga,
Mhm.
RJ.
She is.
Okay.
Green.
It's not there. Greenheart. Perfect. Silver Chicken.
Can you switch places just for a minute
Places, please.
with him?
Willock's Restaurant. Who's Willock? Not
He
here.
has 2 applicants, the young man in front. Mhm.
You have Willock
Yes.
as well?
Uh-huh.
Okay. In the,
That's him here.
that's you. Splash Events.
Patrick is representing. Mhm.
Patrick, can you move down to the ambulance, please?
But Patrick
it,
goes
right?
to, yeah, that's it. Mhm.
Okay, all right, I'm just writing down.
So when we vote, we're gonna say 1, 2, how many? 7? It's 7, right?
You have 2, just make sure that people,
Yeah.
you have 2.
So if you voting yes for all 7, you just says vote yes all 7. If you're abstaining or saying no to an application, please remember the name. Or if you look in the agenda, we'll have to speed up the process. Yes, ma'am. Say that again? Sir, can you give the names? It's an unusual name.
Yes, say it louder, please.
Yes, very unusual. Macedonia and Quanax. Oh, yeah, I was pronouncing it incorrectly.
There's no method.
It's the first one. Yeah, he's going by his, the name. Mhm. Sorry. So he's doing two. Patrick, you're representing two, correct? Oh, the owner is here for the green light. Okay, all right, so you're only representing one. Mhm.
All right, please listen up for your name. You guys, unless somebody have a question for one of them, you guys can just have a seat at the front or while we do roll call.
At the front, I think he said.
Okay. So the committee has voted yes on all applicants. And so now it comes to the board for the official voting. If you're in favor of the committee's recommendation of yes on all seven, if you're pulling one out, please do so. When you call your name, just say yes to all seven or whichever one you're pulling out. All right? It's seven, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Any questions? Kwame? Six, 7. Tiffany? Miss Antoine? Miss Jael, Miss James, while we're doing this, can you prepare for the bylaws proposal? I give me 1 second. Miss Bellin? Miss Brereton? Mr. Brown is absent. Asha Cunningham is absent. Roderick Daly, yes to all seven. Herminia Daniels, Miss Daniels? Miss Darlene? And Miss Duncan? Dr. Ferguson is not here. Lena is not here. Miss Fields? Miss French Kenton? Galbraith is not here. Miss Graham? Miss Grandison? Mr. Hallam? I believe there are two presentations supposed to go on tonight. While we're doing that, please do prepare yourself for your presentation. All right, after the voting, the presentation will go after. Miss James?
Yes. Yes to all seven.
Miss Joseph is not here. Emerson, Lazzarelli. I didn't hear you. Oh, I still got it doing. Miss Lusson? Yes. How do you pronounce your last name? Lewison. Yes to all seven. Mr. Mitherin? Ms. Mark? Mr. McCabe? Ms. Austin? Ms. Oluwo. I didn't hear you. The first one. Okay. Pronounce your last name for me. Oluwo. Okay. Every time I say it wrong, please correct me. Rodney's not here. June, Ms. Prasad? Ms. Reed? Dr. Renaud? Ms. Swaby? Ms. Sylvester? No to number 4? And then yes to the rest? Mr. Tate? Ms. Viante? Yep. Yep. You're clear. I like that. The rest of people are absent. All right, so while we tally the vote, let's move on to the next order of business. Next order of business, which one are we doing?
The rezoning.
The rezoning first?
Yes.
This was the.
It's, as far as I know, it's spelled correct. Rezoning.
Good evening. My name is Jael James. I'm very excited tonight because Community Board 17 for 17 years has been trying to achieve the equity, level of equity that the other community boards have achieved. Every other community board in Brooklyn, 17 of them, have been able to rezone their districts to do what's best for their community. And we've been struggling. And I'm excited tonight because I think we're on the way to making great progress with a great team that we've assembled. And we just need the community's help. We need your input and your support. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you Tara from the Pratt Center.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tara Vivier, and I am from the Pratt Center for Community Development. And we are here to present the draft Community Housing and Preservation Plan for the district. So I just want to introduce Pratt Center briefly, myself and my colleague Paula Crespo. We are a 60-year-old community planning and policy organization. We've actually worked with this community board in the past, and a few years ago, on some things, and we are really excited to continue to have our relationship with you all. And I will now allow the other members of the project team to introduce themselves.
Thanks, Tara, and I don't want to touch too many things, but ideally, okay, we need to just get this.
It's just this piece. We're not going to do not doing your piece of the presentation.
Okay.
Just to introduce.
Okay. Okay, so hello, my name is Nicole Campo. I'm a city planner working with Matrix New World Engineering. I've had a career in New York City government, and I'm a resident of this community board, also a native New Yorker, and I'm very pleased to be part of this effort to take a look at the community's needs and concerns and adjustments to the zoning that we might be able to put forward. Thank you.
And I'm George Janes. I'm a planner in private practice. I worked in Community Board 17 in 2019 and 2020 with the last rezoning effort. And I was brought on board to bring forward some of that work, but also to craft it into something new. Thank you.
All right, so the team has a few tasks. The first was to examine development within the community district since 2008, research Nostrand Avenue's business corridor and begin some outreach, perform an analysis to determine areas of opportunity for existing units, for additional units in existing homes, and to perform an analysis of the district to identify possible areas for rezoning changes. So this is just a map of the development within Community Board 17. This is all the new building permits that have been issued since 2008. So as you can see, the farther western end of the district has seen the most number of permitting. But we just wanted to get a sense, and I'm sure some of you have seen this information previously. I believe Richard Bierak did some of this analysis, and we just continued this analysis and updated a map for this. And Pratt Center, we also did work along concerning the Nostrand Avenue business corridor. So we know that it is one of the main commercial corridors in the district. There are many small businesses and places of worship. It is close to transportation, which makes it attractive to upzone for more density. However, upzoning can result in speculation and new development, which might displace businesses. So we know that that is a great community concern. We know that it is an important asset to the community. And in trying to determine what's the best zoning could be for the area, we really wanted to make sure that we took that into consideration as we moved forward and not proposing any type of upzoning along Nostrand Avenue. And in doing so, we did a comparison with some of the other commercial corridors within Brooklyn and Queens. I apologize for this, Mike. Yeah, I want to see. Okay. I wasn't sure if people could hear me, so if you could all still hear me, thank you. So yes, we did perform an analysis with some other comparable commercial corridors within the area. This is just one example. So this is Smith Street, which is in Carroll Gardens, Cobble Hill area that has similar zoning, is a very vibrant community commercial corridor like Nostrand Avenue is, but has not experienced an upzoning. So this is one of the corridors that we're looking at, and very similar in the same sense that there is bus access, there's subway access, and zoned similarly. So our concern is that if city planning were to come in and say, well, this area needs to be upzoned because it's rich in transportation, we could look to corridors such as Smith Street and some other corridors that we're outlining in the report to demonstrate that's not exactly the case. And we have also begun outreach along Nostrand Avenue. We have so far interviewed 30 businesses. We do have a community survey. Most businesses do rent their space, and they definitely want to remain where they currently are. Many of them do cater to the Caribbean community in the area, and a vast majority do feel that they are not confident at all that they could find a new space nearby if forced to move due to any type of rezoning. So what we are doing, we will be continuing to do this surveying and outreach, but we are asking, we're kind of blocking it, but we have the QR code later on in the presentation again. But we are asking if any of you are business owners along Nostrand Avenue or know of any business owners along Nostrand Avenue to encourage them to fill out this survey. We do have a version online as well as paper copies. We will be going out into the neighborhood as well over the next few weeks to do some additional surveying. We also are seeking some, if anyone does speak Creole, looking for some translators to so we can do some outreach to the Haitian businesses in the area as well. So we are continuing that work, and we will have more detailed results in our subsequent report.
Can you hear me from this distance? Okay. So we know that, one of the concerns in the area is the continued demolition of existing houses. Another concern that some of you or all of you may know is that, while this community board has some of the highest rates of Black home ownership in the city, probably second to Southeast Queens, the rates of Black homeownership in this community are declining. And based on census data, looking even just from 2017 to 2021, they have declined by several percentage points. So what we looked at is what can we do to preserve the homes, still create more dwelling units by allowing folks to legally and safely break up those homes into apartments if they choose to, remain in their homes as homeowners, and ideally, along with that, maintain and preserve Black homeownership in the community. So this is just some demographic data. As I was mentioning, in 2021, the percentage of Black homeownership in the area, I'm sorry, let me just read this to you. So approximately 79% of the neighborhood was comprised of Black residents. It was 89% in 2017. So that's a decline overall in Black residents in this community board. In 2021, approximately 86% of all owner-occupied housing units were owned by Black residents, while in 2017, the percentage was 92%. So that's a drop in 6 percentage points in, what is that, 3-4 years. And we don't have the most recent data, but I would imagine that that has declined a bit more. In addition, in 2017, the community contained approximately 65% of renter-occupied housing units and 35% of owner-occupied housing units. In 2021, those ratios have changed a bit where there's now more, the percentage of renter-occupied has increased and homeowner-occupied has decreased. So 70% renter-occupied, 30% owner-occupied, down from 35%. I do not expect you to be able to fully digest this chart, but what you are seeing here, and we can share this with you, is a breakdown by zoning district within Community Board 17 of every single family and two-family house, and this is based on Department of Finance data. So this is the legal categorization of the house. How many single and two-family houses we have in the area, what zoning district they're in, and the significance of this is the ones that are in the higher density districts like R6 and R7 are arguably more vulnerable because those allow the larger apartment buildings. And then what we also wanted to demonstrate here is the amount of basements in the area, both above grade basements. So, and I'll use the term basement for above grade basements. That means basically when you just walk down a couple of steps and the windows are still pretty big. That's the easiest way that I feel I can explain it. A below grade basement is a basement where the windows are, pretty small and really high up at the top. And that's really a cellar. So this is relevant for this idea of how many more units can we create if we can maybe relook at some of the rules to facilitate legal and safe apartment units being made in homes if homeowners choose to do so. So we analyzed the approximate number of additional dwelling units that could be created if things like the New York City zoning regulations, sections of the New York City Building Code, and changes to the New York State multiple dwelling unit law were modified in, thoughtful ways to remove any barriers to the legal conversions of 1 or 2 family homes into multiple dwelling units, including basement conversions. So just one quick example of a, a roadblock someone might face in R4, every new unit requires a parking space. You may have a detached home with a small front yard. So if you want to make your second floor, another apartment and just live on the first floor, and you can follow building code and all of that, the zoning still precludes you from doing that because you can't put a parking space there, you have no room. So little tweaks like that, like that's an example of something you can do. Also sellers, the East New York pilot program was an imperfect program, but it had good ideas. So, making changes to the way you access a seller apartment and providing more, kind of safe entries and exits and fire code. I'm not going to go into the details, but so this is just analyzing, depending on how you do things, you can create a lot of new housing in this community in terms of dwelling units within the existing houses themselves without any new buildings. So you can read through the list, but on the second line, say every single family and two-family home in the area gets converted to a three-family home, including the conversion of cellars and basements if that's what would be required to get it to a 2 or 3 family home. You could create more than 17,000 new units in the community. So that's an argument I think we would like to make, is that, okay, New York City needs more housing. We can provide you with that while giving people the opportunity to bring in more income in their homes and do it legally, with proper inspection from the Department of Buildings, without, this threat that, oh, I have a legal base, an illegal basement unit that makes me uncomfortable, for example. Should we save them to the end? Remember it. And I'll be fast at this one. So this, again, I'm not going to dwell on this. A lot of this is pretty technical, but these are all of the zoning districts today that are in Community Board 17. All of these except this R71, these have been in your community since 1961. They have never changed, ever. And that's what JL was referencing before. It's way overdue for this community to take a hard look at its zoning and put zoning in place that is appropriate for what exists and what we want to see in the future. This just explains, how much floor area is allowed in each district and kind of what the parking is required. Just a reference point as we explore zoning possibilities at a later time. So our recommendations here is that to facilitate, in order to help maintain levels of Black home ownership in Community Ward 17 and preserve neighborhood character, while also adding a significant number of dwelling units, we recommend, facilitating the conversion of cellars into safe and legal dwelling units through the regulation changes I just mentioned, waive parking requirements for conversions of existing homes into additional units. We don't want to waive parking, requirements entirely, but to make that provision as a waiver for if you are an existing home and you're breaking it up, you can waive the required parking. And also there's a financial aspect here. How do you get the money to make these changes to your building? So we would recommend that the city step in, or some, other partners that we've actually been talking with, to help facilitate either low or no interest loans to homeowners to make these changes to their homes. And with that, I will turn it over to George.
To move that. That's what I was trying to tell you before.
Excellent. Good. So now you can see the screen. All right. All right. Great. Okay, so this picture right here is one of the reasons that we're here, right? Is that there's a significant mismatch between many neighborhoods, between what zoning allows and what's already there. This is a photograph that appeared in the New York Times a few years ago on Lenox Avenue or Lenox Road. which, shows what used to be there and what's coming. But it's not just there, right? It's in many neighborhoods. You've all seen it. And this significant difference creates this out of scale development in many neighborhoods. And this mismatch is reflected in the data. You're not just seeing this. It's not just a few things that we're all seeing. This is the net change in housing units in this community district over time. There's essentially not very much happening until 2016, 2017. And then there's a lot more development that's happening. And so you're seeing this more and more. And I think it's fair to also compare this community district to other community districts. This is Community District 17 compared to other nearby community districts. This is showing recently built units that have been built over the past 4 years, plus units that are in the pipeline, meaning they're at the Department of Buildings. They're getting their permits. They have their permits. They're under construction, but they're not yet occupied. And that's almost 6,000 units right there. That's a lot of units in a community district this size. And also, Community District 17 has height factor zoning. Height factor zoning doesn't have a height limit. Essentially, you can go until you run out of floor area, and so you get buildings like this on Linden Boulevard. So changing zoning can address the mismatch, right? You can shrink the zoning to better match the neighborhood. And here are some, smaller, lower density zoning districts and the kind of buildings that might be built under them. But there's a problem with that, of course, because the city, the administration wants more housing, not less. And so if you shrink, you're going to get less housing. And they especially want housing where mandatory inclusionary housing will be required. Mandatory inclusionary housing, what is that? That is when you develop a piece of property, you have to have some percentage of the units set aside as rent regulated. I don't want to call them affordable because they're not necessarily affordable to everyone, but they are rent regulated. And there'll be legal limits on what rent can be charged. So I have been tasked, my office has been tasked with describing a trade for consideration for you all. And more density in some places, less density in other places. So where you might go from an R6 to an R5 and you have, blocks, hypothetical blocks showing that. Okay, so these recommendations, I'm going to go through them one by one. They come from current rezoning proposals that have been done by private applicants, some of the work done in 2019, 2020, street widths, wider the street, usually the more density it can handle, transit access, facts on the ground. And most of this focus, what I'm going to talk about is the areas for additional density, because that's the hard part. That's the part that requires your attention. The downzoning part, I'm going to finish with that briefly, but it's not as difficult. So this is an existing zoning map of your district. It has higher density in the west, higher density in the northeast, low density in the middle, and then an industrial core that goes along the southern edge. And then R5, which is kind of a moderate density in the center. Okay, so the first area identified for upzoning was actually pretty easy because there's a private applicant right now who has proposed this in your community. It's at 98th Street. It is the C8 district that is along 98th Street and the subway right here. It's outlined in purple. And they have proposed high density zoning there. There is a subway entrance, but there's little housing on that street. And it's a wide street. It's not as narrow as some, and so can handle more density, especially because it would be transit oriented and, very close to the subway. This is some of the development that is currently along that street. A lot of one-story commercial buildings, very little housing, a parking lot. And this is what is being proposed right now by this applicant. It is nearly 1 million square feet of floor area, 12 and 13 stories tall, about 1,150 units, nearly 40% of them to be rent regulated. So that would be the first area. The second area is right next to it, Rockaway Parkway. It butts it. You know, the first one is a kind of, if it goes forward, it's a kind of transformative rezoning, right? It transforms that area into a higher density area if it goes forward. And Rockaway Parkway, which is right next to it, is a residential street, not a commercial street like 98th is, but it is a very wide street. It's 120 feet wide, and it currently has a mix of small and large buildings that vary by block. But even though the size of buildings varies, the zoning is the same, R6. And its width and proximity to the subway suggests that it could handle more density here. And an increase to an R7A would trigger, is essentially the minimum amount required to trigger mandatory inclusionary housing, so that you'd have housing and some percentage, around 25%, would be rent regulated. And so these are some pictures along Rockaway Parkway. You have, again, this some larger scale buildings on one side, smaller scale buildings on the other. And then you have some north of Kings Highway, you have some relatively large buildings, but then south of Kings Highway, it's all smaller scale. Okay, next, North Utica. Utica north of Lenox Road. It's mostly zoned to C8 right now, which is a commercial district that does not allow any housing. And you know, if you've seen a lot of self-storage facilities in the community, it's because there's a lot of C8 districts, and C8 districts allow for self-storage and not for housing. So a commercial district, that would be a C42A, which is a contextual district which allows for commercial, but you can also do housing, right? So you could do mixed use with commercial on the bottom and then housing above, and you would still have mandatory inclusionary housing triggered. And so if you have development there with housing, it would have to be, some portion would be affordable. And these are photographs along the northern part of Utica. And again, only half of this is in the community district, so that's the half that we're looking at. The CubeSmart is at the very north. It's actually on Remsen, just one block over, but it's still in the same district. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, and we'll go through a couple more. There's actually 2 self-storage facilities in this area. And then finally, the southernmost block is the one shown at the bottom, which is low-scale commercial on both sides. Okay, number 4 is the area right around where we're sitting. It's the medical center here is a large building, but it's in an R5 district, which is not a very high-density district. And so the area directly around it, including the old parking garage, could be upzoned to match the scale of the building that you have here. It's also adjacent to the high-density development that you're seeing directly to the west. And so these are pictures of the area where you have the larger scale building that we're in on the right, and on the left you have smaller scale buildings, especially to the east. But you know, you have buildings like the one you see here, which is not an R5 building, right? It's currently here. Normally in this community district, the building is too small for the zoning that's there. You have a few places where the buildings are too big for the zoning that's there. And this is one of them. And so what you'd be doing is raising the zoning to essentially legalize a building like this. Okay, number 5, the Bedford Avenue commercial area to a C44A. And it's really a relatively small area over here on the western part of the community district. It was the eastern side across the street, I'm sorry, the western side across the street was rezoned in 2009 to a C44A. And so a similar scale on both sides of the street would make sense. However, this was very carefully selected to leave out the automotive related uses on Bedford, knowing that people need to get gas. And you don't necessarily want the gas stations to all go away. And also, it avoids the Africa House, which was something that we didn't want to incent to move. But it still leaves, areas that would be available for development with mandatory inclusionary housing. And again, another self-storage, which is also in the area to be rezoned. And then further, it would legalize a building like this. This is an apartment house that has 60-some units in it, which right now is not legal, meaning it's grandfathered, of course. But if it had burned down or something like that, it could not be rebuilt today. And by changing zoning, it would actually help preserve it. And then you still have vacant areas like what you see here. So there would be areas for development there. Number 6, there are only 7 of these, so thanks for sticking with me, is New York Avenue. New York Avenue is a wide street. It's seen substantial new development, especially in the northern part. It's close to the subway, but it's not adjacent. And actually that helps for developers, right? If you're right adjacent to the subway, you got to deal with the MTA. It makes it much more difficult to develop property right next to the subway. If you go over a block or two, it makes it a lot easier, and it's the same zoning district. And you're still just a couple of blocks from the subway. And so this is recommended for an R7A. And, it's such an interesting street because you have, low scale frame houses right next to apartment houses that are, mid-rise apartment houses. And they, that's been there for well over 60 years, some of these. But then you also have the new development that's coming in. Some of it is as new built buildings. Others are as additions that go right on top of the townhouses like you see over here. So this historic, New York Avenue never had a consistent form, right? It had, low here, high there, often right across the street from each other. And so the idea is that on New York, an upzoning here, recognizes the fact that there already has been a lot of development here. And some of the other low density sites could have new development and mandatory inclusionary housing, which would mean some percentage, around 25%, would be rent regulated. And right now that doesn't happen. So Rogers Avenue is the last one, is increased to a C4-4A, which is essentially an R7, just like New York, except it allows for commercial. So you would have mixed use in this area. And it's not quite as far down. And because the northern part of Rogers is where you've started to see the out of scale development. And there are also several, larger development sites that could happen here. 1-story commercial buildings close to the subway, but not adjacent, exactly like New York. And again, it's the minimum necessary to trigger mandatory inclusionary housing, which would have some amount of affordability. And this is Rogers, some photographs of Rogers Avenue. Okay, these are the 7 areas that have been identified. They're all near transit, either subway or bus. All are on wide streets. It excludes the M districts to the south. We're not touching them. Excludes the R4 areas, which is where a lot of the single family houses are, either attached or detached. And then on the other side of this is, well, what do you get in return? And so the idea is to do either a down zoning or contextual zoning like this. It includes most of the community district. And a lot of it is very light touch. The R5 would go to an R5B, which is essentially, it's very similar. It's just a little lower and a little wider. The R4 would go to R4-1 or R4B, depending on whether they're attached or whether they're, or they have side yards, right? Okay, all right, I'm almost there. All right, and then the total areas for change would be this, where you add the upzoned areas with the downzoned areas, and that's the map. And the areas that are blank are not suggested to be touched. Okay, that's what I have. And I think discussion and feedback.
Thank you very much. So we've explained the predicament, for lack of a better word, that we're in, where to protect and preserve our community. We are being forced to upzone, and we will, in recognition of the fact that we have a housing crisis. And so that's the trade-off that we've come up with. And we want your input. That's why we're here tonight. And Margarita Vigilante had the first question.
Yes, I think we'd have to go back on that, all the way back to the beginning, where it says something about converting all 1 and 2 family homes to multiple dwells. I can't remember what the text was exactly. Yeah. I just want to understand that better, what that means.
Is it this?
Yeah, so conversion, no, that was it. Not this one. One before that.
Ask a question and we'll see if we get it.
This one.
It's the next slide.
No, it's the next slide. You had it. Yeah, this one. See, it says conversion of all single-family and 2-family homes to 3-family homes. What does that mean? That would be, the city would make every home?
No, so this is analyzing based on different scenarios, how many new units of housing could be created within existing housing, based on the homeowner's choice. Right?
This wouldn't be a city mandate that all the homes would be converted?
It would not, no, this is, and I think I hear,
That's what
I
it.
don't know if somebody's on
that's
the,
what it seems like.
somebody needs to
You
mute
got
on
it.
the computer. Okay, I'll just try to talk over it. It is definitely not a proposal for a mandate at all.
Okay.
It is to give homeowners the legal and safe opportunity to make the choice to convert their home from a 1-family to a 2-family, from a 2-family to a 3-family, which they actually really can't today, even though the district allows for multiple family homes. There are nuances in the zoning that actually make that impossible. So the parking is a big example of that. You can't, these homes were put in place for the most part before the 1961 zoning. So they don't even match the zoning requirements today. So you might live in a single or 2-family house with no parking, but the zoning requires you to have 2 parking spaces. So now you want to add a 3rd unit, you can't legally. So you're either not going to do it, or you're going to do it off the books, so to speak. And, there's electrical fires that happen, there's no inspection. So some people might take that chance and do it. Others may feel uncomfortable and not do it, but they might want that additional income, whether it's for a stranger they, rent it out to, or a cousin who needs a space. So the idea is to modify whatever regulations are making it difficult for a homeowner to choose to break up their home into 2, 3 apartments and give them that option, but it's not a mandate.
Okay. Can I just have?
And again, this is just
another
our
question?
proposal that we are going to be presenting.
My other question was, do you know why the Black ownership has gone down? Because my feeling is that it's gone down because a developer comes in and offers the homeowner so much money. They sell their home, the developer builds an apartment building, and then there's no home for another Black family to buy, because then the homes are gone.
Right, so that's
Or
a
any
good
family.
assumption. Based on the data that we've seen, there is a high correlation between the increase in new buildings going up, which are going up in place of what used to be a house. And the buildings going up were typically renter occupied. And so there is a pretty direct correlation between the tear downs of the homes and the new buildings and the decline in Black home ownership.
Right, so by upzoning, that will continue to decline then, possibly. By putting more big buildings.
I mean, you could make the argument that new buildings should be condos, that there should be options for, you know, affordable home ownership within apartment buildings. But, you know, this is just the beginning of the conversation. So, but I think there's more to discuss there.
Thank you. Mr. Daly, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm often baffled with the need for all of these housing. When I look at the census data, it says that the population of New York, that's why we lost in the last two census, we lost 2 congressional seats, right? But yet still, there's an upcry for more housing. Why is there, I'm a little bit confused, and I think a lot of people are confused. If you're losing residency, moving to Florida, moving to North Carolina, wherever they're moving to, why is there such a high need for so much upzoning? That's part A of my question. The second part of the question is, a lot of these buildings that we're saying, okay, you can upzone, they're not rent to occupied. They're just a waste of space. So those are, and I don't want to go through the other political conversation, but those, the other one about you're doing this and then generational wealth is being lost, right? So those are my concerns.
I'll start off, but feel free for the rest of the team to contribute. I mean, the census took place during lockdown. I do think that impacted the ability to have the most effective census. So I don't know. I do believe that there, people were, the community was undercounted all over New York State, to be honest with you. But then there are also other factors as far as, we know that we have additional people coming to New York City that are also putting a strain on the need for housing. We will have a growing homelessness crisis as well. That is also driving the need for housing. I do believe that what is being proposed that would require mandatory inclusionary housing, rent regulated, as George said, not exactly affordable, is not like what is currently being built, where there is no requirement for any type of quote unquote affordable or even rent regulated units. So any type of proposal that for upzoning these areas would or should not result in the vacant units that you may see today, because those are at market rate, which is largely unaffordable.
And if I could, I have a question, because you just mentioned about the whole zoning.
1 second, please. Go ahead. Nicole.
Sorry, I just wanted to finish the other part of his question and then, so I think, there can be a very long debate about the need for more housing. What kind of housing? Is it just luxury housing the city needs, which is, or is it affordable housing? Should it be rent regulated? I think the reality of the political situation is that this community, and I hope this is okay to say this, I just think it's the reality, this community is not going to get the attention that it deserves and needs to fix the zoning for the majority of the community if it is not willing to find places for more housing, because as a stated goal for the city of New York, we all need to find more places for new housing. And I think it could be an issue of kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. If we come and just say we want contextual rezoning and we're not open to accepting new housing anywhere in the community, then we risk having nothing happen. And then in these C8 areas, we just get more self-storage instead of housing. So I think what we are hoping is that we could talk about where we are comfortable accepting more housing, understanding that there's going to be a give and take in order for something to actually happen.
So I have 2 questions. The first question is, you guys talk about equity equity and diversity. You guys mention it, but you guys do not go into details of what that looks like, because you guys have done some type of zoning for new buildings where they're supposed to do affordable housing, whether it's 30%, it's supposed to be that, and that's not working. So when you guys talk about equity and diversity, what exactly is that? Because you guys say it, but you guys are not implementing it and giving us the ways of saying for homeowners to want to be incentivized to say, yes, we want to add on or to do this whole rezoning. What are the perks of us doing this? You haven't mentioned anything of that.
Okay. I did not focus so much on equity and diversity. I think that this is more of a trade. If you don't like these big buildings next to single-family houses, which will happen in the R6 districts, then you have to give the city what it wants. Sorry. I can also speak louder. The city wants.
It is very weird for you to come in with mouth was the fact that we are predominantly Black to now say diversity and equity is not important.
Can I just
Yeah.
I think that's different folks.
I started out by saying Community Board 17 is the only district in Community Board in Brooklyn that has not been rezoned. That tells you very clearly what's happening, okay? It's very clear to us why, whether you're poor, immigrant, or Black, that's where we are right now. And because of that, developers, as a matter of right, they don't need to come to the community board. They can destroy, they can buy up an entire East Flatbush in certain areas and do whatever they want, okay? So this is an effort to stop it. 2 years ago, the Community Board Rezoning Committee presented a proposal to the Department of City Planning. They didn't have the courtesy to respond for 2 years. Finally, they said in February, they will not accept it. So we went back to the drawing board and we want to come up with a plan which is sensible and smart. We've lost areas already. It doesn't make sense fighting about it. We've lost New York Avenue. So we're going to go back to them and say, you can build up as high as you want on New York Avenue. You can have Bedford Avenue, you can have Rogers Avenue, you can have Utica Avenue. And in exchange for that, we want you to respect us and preserve the rest of the community. If they don't do that, it'll be very obvious what's at play. And this gentleman has worked very hard to come up with a plan. He had to deal with me, okay? Okay, to ensure, that's why I'm fighting. I'm a volunteer here, okay? I've spent so many hours working on this because I want to make sure we're preserving Black home ownership in this district. At this time, I would like to invite both city council members to speak.
If before we speak, I would just like to piggyback on something, because I agree with everything you just said, but I think why this constituent is confused is because how it was communicated. So George, the city is not asking CB17 to do anything. CB17 is asking the city to do this. So let's correct that for a second. Because if she's a homeowner and she's asking you a question and she's asking you, why is the city asking? The city's not asking CB17 to do anything. So you did state that, and I want to correct it so that she's not confused. If I was her, I'd be pissed too. All right, Nicole, you mentioned something about contextual zoning. And I want you to who am I? Oh, hi, Councilman Fairless. Hey, I want you to restate it because in your statement regarding contextual zoning, while I understand what you mean, and I know you weren't trying to be offensive, but, and JL knows this, we're asking for contextual zoning, but it sounds like you were asking us to make a decision about upzoning, which a lot of us are against, including myself. And I have a letter that JL, she signed it, he signed it, they all signed it in support of contextual zoning. And if that's not what you guys are presenting, we're gonna fight.
All right, Deputy Referee.
All right.
If I said anything in a confusing way, thank the opportunity for come up.
And no worries, I just want you to re-explain it because I want us all to be on the same page. Because it goes back to what Ms. James just stated, that there are areas that we want contextual zoning, but we want down
Okay,
zoning
this works.
in the areas where there are homeowners like herself. And so if you could just restate
Okay.
that so that we're not all confused.
So-
Thank you.
In zoning speak, contextual rezoning and downzoning are typically the same thing. So if the zoning allows for something like this, but the houses are like this, if you downzone to match the houses, that is contextual zoning. So it is exactly the way JL put it. We want to preserve the neighborhood through contextual rezoning. And then also have some areas of give for upzoning where we would be comfortable with new density. So George mentioned a lot of the corridors. I don't know if you could pull up the map, Tara, that he highlighted in purple. You know, some of these areas where we're just getting self-storage. I mean, I don't know if everyone loves the self-storage buildings, but there could be housing there if there were a zoning change. You could call it a zoning change, you could call it an upzoning. Maybe it sounds better to just call it a zoning change, but you would change that to allow for denser housing and create more units in the neighborhood. So I think overall, the whole point of this is to get the contextual zoning that the community wants by finding a compromise for certain corridors where the community feels comfortable changing the zoning to facilitate more housing. And that's what George tried to point out in his proposal. And this is the beginning, so this is up for discussion, you know, if you have other ideas of where to put this additional housing, but it's to make this, it's to help move this effort forward and show the city where, you know, the community is willing to make some compromises to get what it wants, what the most important thing is to the community. So I hope, is that more clear? Yeah, that everybody else understands? Okay. Was that more clear? Thank you.
Hello. I had a question in regards to 98th Street, the increase there. There was the matter of less than 40% being affordable housing. Like I remember the gentleman saying there was 40%, but in the on the diagram it says 38.8% affordable housing. That effectively means gentrification. If like over half the people that are going to be living there are outside the affordable range, then that's like an invitation for a lot of economic and socioeconomic displacement, as well as you know, potential in regards to you know, the economic divide, the digital divide, you know, the racial divide, almost inviting genocide and harm in regards to police violence. I think that it'd be reasonable to have like over 50% affordable housing in order to preserve our communities and also not to invite conflict to our area. You know, I think that's a reasonable demand that we make.
Yeah, if I can just talk about that for a second, because the city's affordable housing plan is exactly what you just said, right? It's that you upzone an area and then require a certain portion of the units to be regulated, and then the rest are market rate. So if you want affordable housing, you have to have this like kind of Faustian bargain, if you will, like where you have to trade something that you don't want for something that you want. But that's the city's policy, right? And you're pointing out the point that the city's policy isn't necessarily a very good policy. And I think a lot of people have recognized that.
Yeah.
Well, just a point is that this right here is a private application that has been submitted to the Department of City Planning and will be heard by this community board at some time relatively soon. And so, you're going to be able to weigh in on this because they can't do this without a rezoning. And so I am just describing their application here.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, this isn't something that any of us are building. This is just an example of what is actually being proposed, again, by a private developer who's assembled these lots, and you all will be able to evaluate this.
Tyra, hold on. I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt. First of all, we only have a couple minutes left for the presentation. One, I just want to be clear that this group was brought in by us to figure out ways to resolve some of the issues that we're having. So I think before we continue, we literally have 5 minutes left. If there's something in the presentation to give information that would help to make the presentation better. This is us speaking. They're speaking on our behalf. And I think sometimes their wording might be a little bit off. I agree. But I just want to be clear that we're giving them ideas that they need to bring back. When Councilmember Lewis said about signing a letter, and I signed the letter as the chair of the board, and the chair of the rezoning committee signed the letter as well, right? Is to reflect what we want for our community. So I don't want everybody to believe that there's somebody coming in giving us a presentation about what something else wants. They're helping us. We're paying them to help us. So please do not make it seem like it's the opposite, right? So whatever, like the 50%, how do we look at that? That's a good question. I'm gonna stop talking because I think I've taken up some of the time.
Okay.
And we really only have 5. So please give positive suggestions about what can be improved and what cannot be improved.
Okay.
And if anything, make sure the chair of the rezoning gives out the email for anybody who have things that you might not have been able to add to the group. All right, thank you.
So just for clarification, let me just say one more time. What you're seeing here is not being proposed by anybody here. A private developer has already submitted an application to the city. It is not on the council member's district here. It's another council person. And we don't know what her position is on it. So if she votes in favor of it, it's going to happen with the 38%. This is out of our control. What we are simply saying is that if you're going to develop on 98th Street, take a look at Rockaway Parkway, which is right behind, where we can get additional housing because of the width of the street and because you already have apartment buildings here. That's all we're saying. I think you have a question. Okay. Okay, go ahead, sorry. Okay, one more question.
Yes, thank you. Hi, my name is Isis McIntosh Green. I actually live over in the, okay. Thank you. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Isis McIntosh Green. I actually live over in the Brownsville area. I was raised there in Bed-Stuy. I'm trying to figure out with the 98th Street, I understand you all are talking about moving it to Rockaway Parkway, but to the young man's concerns in the back regarding the 38.8% affordable, is it possible to have a conversation with some of the people that are making these proposals about doing affordable home ownership? Because I know we spoke a lot about seeing an increase in the high-rise developments that are coming up and a decrease in the affordable home ownership of Black Americans and Caribbean Americans in our community. So can we talk about affordable home ownership and incentivizing them to do that? So we are making sure we're stabilizing our communities?
Okay, so what you can do then, because since you live in that area, if you can get in contact with your city council person
I'm happy
and
that you said
have
that,
a
actually.
discussion with her, because at all levels, we have been unsuccessful, okay? So I implore you
Thank you
to
so
do
much.
that. And if you don't think you should vote for this project here, express your view to her. And then, but that's not something we can control. This is in her district. She's the only person who can control this. And it's for you as a constituent to speak up.
And I just wanted to
But
add,
they will be coming to the community board. So there, you would have an opportunity to go to the land use committee when it's on the agenda, at the board as well, to provide the feedback indicating, necessary requirements for home ownership, increased affordability, things of that sort. But also, yes, going to your council member is also very important.
Hello, good evening. The council member for the 45th district welcomed me to be speaking before her. I'm council member Narcisse from the 46th district. Yes, it was shocking to me that you never had redistricting done. I mean, rezoning done. I had to rezone back in the days and fighting for this, for the community. So I'm happy that finally we push back, because that's our community, that's our investment. And I can understand you, sis, that you're fighting, because this is our community. Every day is an opportunity for us. And thank you for doing the presentation, but I'm being be honest. At first, I thought you from somewhere else. Now I find out, I was so grateful for the clarification that everybody can understand what's going on. So you're on our side. And when we ask questions, it's, I'm seeing the 98, I see Isis just walk away because a council member that she had to ask. But I'll talk, I look forward to see in the city what's going. But I have iBird view of what's been going on in our community. Generational wealth that we're talking about is gone in our city. So yes, fight for those areas, because when you actually not in a position of strength, it's a give and take, it's negotiation. So now I agree with you, some area is already done by right, because if I bought a piece of land or a house, I can build whatever I want, go back and get it done. But if you have the zoning, because now in Canarsie, people cannot go and build whatever you want, because we fought hard. Back in the days, I was in the front line, rallying and organizing, and that should have been done. But unfortunately, it's already happened on Bedford Avenue, on Nostrand, everywhere. So now you have a chance, whatever we have left, to try to do the best we can and work collaboratively with the team, with the leadership, and see what you see your community should be. And I love what you said. The area from the Bend Road, we don't want them to have those big housing. This out of character. We don't need that, because we're losing, because we should not be selling. Unfortunately, I wish I can go to every black houses and I tell you, don't sell, pass it on to your next generation. But unfortunately, some folks, the minute they see the money, they run. But then again, we're in a struggle all over again. So since you're here, everyone that's here, we have the responsibility to talk to each other, to the neighbors, because there is no reason for us to be priced out of our own community that we held down for so many decades. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm council member Narcisse from the 46. We fought very, very, very hard to keep that zoning done years back. And as a matter of fact, I was in the forefront. I'm the one that actually asked for it. I did a cease and desist when we first started, when the realtors was coming, because black people are coming. So I was I was educated by a few folks, organized with me, and I was able to do that. So district leader for the 58 as well. Yes, I am district leader so I'm part of this district as well. So whatever I can do, I'm in the 46, but I tell everyone, I love my work. And whatever that I can do in the space that I am, you can call my office, even though me and Farah work together. If I see something, I'm gonna bring it to her attention. And if she sees something, she bring it to my attention, because we cross, we're the borderline. So whatever that we have to do to hold our district together and push for our community to stay whole. So thank you so much. God bless you, and continue doing the work and help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Give her a round of applause. Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilmember Farah Lewis. I represent the 45th Council District. I do want to thank you, Ms. James, Kwame, and Chair Roderick because I know this is a long, arduous journey to get this done. And the fact that you even came in with a new group in order to regroup and have this conversation speaks a lot to your leadership. So I just want to thank you all for what you've been able to do over time. Yeah, they deserve a round of applause because I know sleepless nights. And this is just all a labor of love. This is how we ensure that there's no more out of context development, but preservation of homes in our district. So thank you. But I didn't know we were doing this tonight. I really came to talk to you guys about first to say thank you for an awesome year, because I know we're ending this month for break. And I want to thank you all for your support throughout the year, all the events and programs that we've all had and partnered on together. And I'm looking forward to an even more phenomenal year in September. I think you've all did a phenomenal job, and I just wanted to say thank you. But I came to speak to you all this evening about Eleanor Bernard Street co-naming. For those of you that don't know who Ms. Bernard is Kari Edwards' mom, and I submitted to the city council asking for a co-naming, and I know that the transportation committee met recently to get a vote, and I'm hoping that vote is happening tonight. All right,
It was voted.
That was, the board voted 26.
26 yes and 1 abstention. So it was passed.
Oh, so you guys voted already? Praise the Lord. All right, so, because we got to vote on it tomorrow in the council, and I was going to ask you all for your support, but you took care of it already. Thank you so much. Not only do I know it means a lot for the family, but I know it means a lot for Eleanor's community, who is still mourning her passing, and I know that they would appreciate this board. She loved Community Board 17.
Sure
She loved
did.
her neighborhood, and if you know her, she's in everybody's events, everyone's programs, and also donated to a lot of the things that we did in this community. So please know she's a community hero, a pillar, and this is a great way for us to continue her legacy. So I want to tell you all thank you. Last thing, we finally broke ground on Bethany Senior Terrace on East 40th Street. If you didn't see the information and the press behind it, I put $3 million behind this project. It's the second affordable senior housing in Community Board 17, but in District 45. And it's 100% affordable housing for seniors. Those are the kind of projects we want, guys, just so you know. Yes. Huh? East 40th between Foster and D. And we could give you more. Did I get it correct, Ms. Frazier? Because you're the whole boss right now? Yes. Foster and D. She was at the groundbreaking. So once they're finished with everything, Ms. Frazier and the whole team will reach out to you to show you how you can apply for the affordable housing. It's not controlled by my office. It's controlled by Riseboro and Housing Connect. All right? So I know those questions want to come up. I don't have the answers. We will connect you with Housing Connect and Riseboro, but we just wanted to let you all know this is the second affordable housing in the district. And last but not least, I just wanted to thank the community board for your support for the car share and bike share fight with DOT. Some of you are laughing, some of you are not. We are still fighting with DOT. I think my deadline is tomorrow. So if you did not support us being against the car share, bike share, I don't know, there's bikers here, but I am not in support of it. They want to put a bike lane and car share along New York Avenue, Snyder, Beverly Road, Nostrand Avenue. I could keep going down the list. So right now, while Nostrand Avenue is pretty wide, it will not be because you're gonna have to share it with protected bike lanes. So, which we're against. Well, some of us, yes. Everything. And then they want to put a bike lane and car share. So what we did was we offered them alternatives that they rejected last week. So we gave them additional alternatives to our alternatives. So it's a fight. My deadline is tomorrow. So if there's anything you want to include in there, please email my office so we can add it in. I'm going to fight to the death. That's just me. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, yes. And then, yeah. So we will also lose parking because of the bike racks for City Bike, which we gave alternatives that they rejected, and we're adding it in again. So if you have any recommendations, please let us know. Have a blessed and amazing summer. Stay safe, and hope to see you all in September. Thank you.
So this is just to, I think, wrap up. We've had the discussion and feedback. We wanted to talk about next steps very quickly. Of course, we want community support, but with that requires feedback, opinions, ideas of what's been presented. So please, there'll be contact information at the very last page. We again mentioned a Nostrand Avenue business survey because we are very much concerned. We want to make sure that those businesses are preserved. We are trying to do as much outreach as we can. So if you are a business owner or Nova business owner on Nostrand Avenue who hasn't yet filled out our survey, there's the QR code, but we will provide that as well. But we will be also going out into the streets again to do some more storefront visiting. And we are also looking for those who speak Haitian Creole to help us with that. And then we also have a community outreach and survey. So for those of you who walked into this meeting, Brooklyn Level Up, I believe, distributed some surveys so that they are conducting. So we do ask that you all fill those out, maybe take a copy for your neighbors to bring those, and that you can return those to the community board office, or you can scan and email them at the email that's going on the subsequent page. There'll be more discussion, more evaluation. I do believe that this will likely go to board vote when you all resume in September. So please, we are looking for you have the whole summer to provide feedback on that. So you can email JL, you can call the office and provide feedback on that.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for that help. Please give it up for our chair of rezoning, who's been fighting this fight, sometimes alone, but fighting nonetheless. All right. The only thing that I wanted to add is that maybe we could get like a palm card of some sort, and then maybe we could put it in the local stores that people could do that, something like that.
When we've been going to we also have been leaving flyers if their business owner or the person there is not feeling comfortable in filling out the survey. We've left a flyer with the QR code and so they know what the survey is about. So we'll be doing that again when we go back out. We'll have the surveys, but then we'll also have the flyers. But if you would like, we can also, if you can email JL, we can get you all a copy of that. And we also are working on getting the survey translated into Creole as well.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's move on very quickly at the legislative session. The votes, right. Eleanor Bernard.
Thank you.
Petra Bernard. I did mention that 26 yes, 1 abstention. Obenga Samuel Balogi, 25 yes, 1 no, 1 abstention. RJ is 27. Greenheart Lounge, 27. This is Silver Chicken, 26 yes, 1 no. Quilox Restaurant, 26 yes, 1 abstention. Indalacio Guarita, 27. And Splash Events and Catering is 26 yes and 1 abstention. All right, so real fast, we're at the legislative session. I saw Dalton earlier. We do have one presentation, I forgot. So let's.
I'm going to try to go through the bylaws as quickly as possible.
You know what?
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we need to vote on the bylaws to be able to get that out so we can have it ready in effect for September. I'm going to go for this. Am I set up? Please, okay, good. And as the consultants are leaving, please fill out the survey. If you didn't get a survey, ask for one. We need your input. We need your thoughts, your suggestions. Please share it with us. Thank you. Okay. Currently, the bylaws does not have a lot of information about becoming a committee member. The proposal to you tonight to vote on is to delete the section which is there right now and be more specific. That 1, all board members are required to serve on at least 1 committee. And that 2, To be a committee member, you must be a New York City resident, which is consistent with the borough president's requirement, and must live, work, or have a professional or other significant interest within the board's district. And a professional or other significant interest exists and is limited to when one is an employee of a city agency or organization in the district, a member of the board of directors of an organization in the district, or a student attending a school in the district, or an owner of a business located in the district. So that is what is being proposed for committee membership. At this time, we don't need a motion because it's on the floor. Can we just take a roll call vote? Any questions? I open it for debate. Questions? Any issues?
Can you go back?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
All right, leave that up on the screen.
Okay.
So we're voting on, right?
Yes, that's what you're voting on.
Okay. So this was voted on in the committee and accepted in the committee,
It's
yeah?
been accepted.
Okay, so at this point, unless there's a specific question, we're really not doing debate, we're voting for some reason, I lost my train of thoughts. We're voting on the recommendation of the committee. Ms. Member Villante.
Can we just take an aye and nay vote and then, instead of going through all the names?
Well, I could do by show of hands
Yeah,
with an abstention, yes. So all in favor of the proposal for the recommendation, amendment to the bylaws, according to the recommendation of the committee, this is the recommendation of the committee. All in favor, please do so by standing. Please
Yes.
stand. Board members only. Thank you. Is that the stand, Miss, you put it a little higher. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. All right, so 23 in favor. All opposed, please stand. Don't worry about me standing, I'm just watching. Okay, any abstention? It passes. Next amendment.
So one of the things we've had is a long list of committees, and the thought being proposed tonight is to reduce the number of committees. And this is what has been suggested: land use, personnel, parks and beautification, youth and education, transportation. I'm going to skip social health and come on budget, commerce, sanitation, housing and block associations. Can I just hear a nay for the following? Anybody has any issues with land use? Say nay. If you do, I'm going to go very quickly. Any issue with personnel?
Wait, I'm sorry.
This is not the vote.
Wait, hold on.
This is where we're able to vote on everything. This is not the vote.
No, I'm asking you,
Mhm.
this, just for my information. This is the amendment that you're doing. You say, when you
Yes.
say issues, I'm not sure why, I'm not sure of the question.
If they have an issue, they want to hear what the issue is.
With the
Otherwise,
land
this is
use
a
or with
poll.
with the amendment?
This is the amendment.
So then it's not an issue with the committee, is an issue with the amendment. That's why I want to make sure that we're not discussing the committee, we're only discussing the amendment.
Correct, yeah. So anybody has any issues with these? If not, okay, youth and education, transportation and public safety, I'll come back to social health, budget, commerce, sanitation and housing and block. Any issue with this? Thank you. The one we did have an issue with, some people had different opinions.
No, you moved on to the next.
Yeah, I'm doing that deliberately, yeah, okay. The one issue that we had issue with is with the naming of social health, mental, and committee services. I'm going to make this very easy, very quick. There is a thought that the board has not spent enough time addressing the health issues of the district because it's been embedded in social services. And the idea is whether you split it or if it's separate. You're going to vote on that tonight. All the other, we're into several boards and many of them have health in it. So the question before you tonight is, these are the options available. We're just going to see by show of hands, which one you prefer and which one gets a majority of votes will be included in the vote. So there is, the first one will be social health, mental health. I'm going to go back. These are the choices. I'm trying to make this quick. These are the choices. So select one you think represents what the social services and health, whether you think we need the name social and health services, whether you think the board doesn't need to pay any attention to health, whatever you think, make a selection here and by show of hands. So when you come back and just do the vote, we'll know which one we're going to vote with. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, just for knowledge basis. Just the combining of the committee, social services and hospitality. So the only thing I'm gonna say, and then whether the committee should be named, but the word hospitality, because we're combining the committee, should have been included in each of these, because it is a combine of two committees.
The thought was the hospitality can be an ad hoc committee because the hospitality committee deals only with the board members. It doesn't have to be a public standing committee. There's,
So you're moving
So-
hospitality to ad hoc.
yes, yeah, that's something under your discretion. Okay, thank you. So very quickly, look at the four names, which one you think, just by show of hands, I need somebody to count very quickly. The first one is social health, mental health, and community services. One vote. The next is social and health service and healthcare. What? Social what? Social and health services, okay. Social services only. One. Two, social, hospitality, and community services. Which one? Okay, go back to that. Okay, okay. I'm gonna go very quickly to the very top. All those who want, because we want to do this in literally 2 minutes. These are the choices available to us, right? One, include health, mental health, and community services, all in, so 1, 2, 3. We have 3, right? 4? Okay, 3. Social and health services. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm going to be, I'm voting, okay, fine. I think we have a majority on this one, so we can stop right here. Is that correct? Okay, good. So the vote, I'm going to go back to the amendment and ask for, and I'm going to amend, not amend, it's going to go back. So we're going to vote on the, sorry, yeah, going back to this, except it's going to read social and health services. Clear enough? Can we take the roll call by hands, please, by standing, whatever? Yeah,
So you're done.
yes.
So the amendment is on the floor to rename the following as these now will become the standing committees of the board. Okay, with a combination of a few and elimination of a few. Land use, personnel, parks and beautification, youth and education, transportation will now be combined with public safety. Social and health, I thought.
Social and health services, correct.
Yeah, all those other things need to come out.
Mhm.
Budget, commerce, so social and health services. No, I'm watching the computer. Commerce, sanitation and environmental protection, housing and block association. These will now become standing committee as voted on by the bylaws committee and amended here at the community board. So again, just like the rest, all in the favor of making these changes, please stand in approval. I'm standing, don't worry about me. Okay. All opposed to this amendment, please stand. All abstain. Say. Ms. Montserrat. The abstention. Okay, thank you. All right, with that being said, just one more presentation. Chair Prasad.
No. Sorry. Yes.
What do you?
You lost it.
So while we're getting it up there, basically, I was asked to show the new location of CB 17. We did a walkthrough was it 2 weeks ago? I hope that I can give you a little insight of what it is, to be transparent to, all board members. Okay, the location is 1107 Rogers Avenue. And as you see front entrance, as you go in, to your left, there are 4 chairs in the waiting area. You see that waiting area, then as you proceed into that door, that's a conference room that hosts 20 people. It's glass to the side. As you go further down, you'll see there's oh, thank you. All right, so I don't strain my ass. Okay, I'm trying to rush through. As you go further down, there's a door in between there then there's a pantry area. Then right after the pantry area, there's 2 tables, for the staff. And on your right-hand side, there's another desk there for the staff. Right behind there's the office for the district manager's office. Then continue onward, there's a storage area for chairs and, whatever we want to store. To your right, there's a copy center. Further down is the restroom. And there's the land room to the back of the area. This also has a very huge outdoor area where we could do fairs and things like that, and it's all fenced. It doesn't show in this diagram. I think that covers it. We also have a huge basement where we could store a lot of files and things like that. Well, tentative, yes, tentative. Any questions? Okay. Ms. Vigilante? It's Roger, the corner of Clarendon Road. Gail? I'm sorry? Well, there's a table there, so I don't think we could move it. It's a conference table. So what we did was they actually had it enclosed. And the chair's suggestion was to have a sliding door so we could actually add in those other 4 chairs if we have a large, meeting. Yes, that's all the space. This is the best suitable space that we can occupy all the space. Any other questions? It's on the first floor, main floor, ground floor. Okay, hearing none, thank you very much.
All right, legislative report, quickly. Mr. Robinson, your name is first. Followed after Mr. Robinson, I see Ms. Stevenson. Actually, Ms. Stevenson was first.
All right, good evening. I know it's very late. Those two things real quickly. Again, Dalton Robinson representing Assembly Member Monique Chandler Waterman. Just 2 events coming up. One on Sunday, June 25th from 1 to 4. We'll be having a shredding event in front of our office. And just as a side note, that is just to accommodate people who normally go to church on Saturday. And then on June 28th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., there will be a cannabis discussion forum at Alliance Tabernacle Church, 3304 Clarendon Road. And this just to bring some information, to discuss information about what is right, what is not right, legality operation procedures and so on and so forth around cannabis. We get a lot of complaints in our office about the location of these entities, and so we just want to bring the expert to the neighborhood so that they can come and discuss with people. So we encourage you to come out on Wednesday, the 28th, to come out and listen to these people. I see Kyle was here. I think he will be one of those people at that event. Also, our office is located at 903 Utica Avenue between Church and Snyder. The number is 718-385-3336. Any constituent with an issue that you think we can assist you with, please do not hesitate to call. With that, good night. Have a blessed evening.
All right, thank you. Tally the last two votes, last three votes. Jeffrey? And then Bianca. Bianca, I didn't see her. Huh? Staring.
Thank you, Chair. I won't take too much time. My name is Jeffrey Severe. I'm representing former council member in this district, Mr. Jemani Williams of the Office of the Public Advocate. Thank you for allowing me a moment to speak. I just want to belatedly welcome everybody for Caribbean Heritage Month, Immigrant Heritage Month. Remind folks that early voting is going on right now. Previously, the Public Advocate just went through having his State of the People events, which were just focused on the different portfolios in our office and making sure that folks know what's going on in the city regarding housing equity, which is a really big topic for you all this evening, especially with this rezoning. And then also the fact that the Rent Guidelines Review Board just increased rents for rent stabilized apartments while we were sitting here. Also just want to direct you out to our website and the fact that we have an advocates newsletter that you all can sign on to, and I will forward that digital information over to the chair and the board and make sure that's shared. And I know this is your last meeting of the session right now, but that's one of the important reasons why we wanted to come here and make sure that, you know, this community was not forgotten. This has a very special place in the Public Advocate's heart. I am a lifelong Flatbush resident, definitely watching the map about what's going on with Rogers Avenue and a lot of the other areas here, and very near and dear to me. So just know that the Public Advocate is with you, and then we have not forgotten this community. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you. Lisa Derrick, Assemblymember Rodney's Rashad, Merlin.
Good evening, everyone. Lisa Derrick from Assemblymember Rodney Spichot Hermelin's office, the 42nd Assembly District. I wanted to share a couple of things. I don't think they've extended today. Today was the last already extended day for the Assembly, for the New York State Legislative Office. So we're on break now, but we're done with passing the bills unless we have a special call. I wanted to announce that the Assembly member has been named by City and State as one of the top 10 New York State legislators, where she passed 13 bills for this session so far, so that deserves an applause. There's some key pieces of legislation, and I'll just run down really quick, that may interest some of you. And these are not all her bills. I'll just let you know which ones were hers, though. The Lead Pipe Right to Know Act passed, where they will be requiring public water systems to take inventories and notify the community if they do find lead. They passed the New York State Community Commission on Reparations. So there is a commission that's going to be looking at suggestions on how to come up with ideas for reparations and other remedies. There's a Clean Slate Act as well that has passed, which seals certain criminal records for those people who have done their time, giving them an opportunity to move on with their lives. The election reform package, there's been a number of bills that have passed for election reform. The all-electric bill, act also passed, which will require future buildings of certain sizes. They're doing it in two phases that will be able to, they'll be required to be all electric when building. The last I want to mention, because I see that my time is almost up, our office will be hosting its summer subway office hours, which will be from 4 to 7. We do it 2 weeks in July. Usually we go out to select subway stations and we meet the constituents at the community instead of them coming to the office. So look out for the mailers because we'll be sending them out soon. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Any other legislators online or are there any questions, I'm sorry, for Ms. Derrick? Any other legislators? Ms. Oni, I can't see if there's anybody there.
I would like to speak on behalf of Council Millie.
You want to speak on behalf of, I'm sorry, where are you?
Council 40 Ward First District, Council Member Darlene Millie.
Darlene Neely. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It was a pleasure being here and listening to and growing at the same time. On behalf of Council Member Darlene Millie, I just wanted to advertise and point out a few things. Community Advisory Board meeting is on Saturday, the 24th from 11 to 12:30 at the district office, which is 400 Rockaway Avenue. Today we did the pantry day, which was very successful, and the cutting of the ribbon for Harvest Market. We have hot food on the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday of each month. Housing is every Tuesday from 9 to 1. Immigration is every third Thursday. And we want to say that we want to ask people to pay attention for the seniors at most of all, for the protection of their deed. There's been a lot of deed frauding going on. It's been a lot coming through our office. And on behalf of Council Millie, I want to say thank you. God bless everyone. And again, my name is Helen Foreman Hines, our Chief of Staff. Blessings.
Thank you, Helen. Hercules Reed.
Hello, good night, everyone. Thank you for having me. Just wanted to highlight, as was mentioned, elections are going on right now, but there's another elections that are also going on, which is the citywide participatory budgeting process is still going on until June 25th. We encourage all community members and community board members to participate in the either online or paper ballots, which can be found online at on.nyc.gov/pb. We really want to encourage people's voices to be heard through that process. Also, I wanted to highlight that the mayor and others passed a new rule that ends the 90-day mandate for folks in shelters to be able to get city FEPS, which is basically in the initiative. The goal is to allow folks to spend less time in the shelter before having an opportunity to get permanent housing. So that's definitely some good news. And then lastly, there has also been a new policy that involves including an older adult liaison at every police precinct citywide to specifically address World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. This was an initiative that they kicked off because we want to make sure that all of our populations are being addressed and their situations are being handled. Thank you. Have a great summer, and thank you again, CB17, for all the hard work and commitment you do for the community.
Thank you. Are there any other legislators online or in person that I missed? All right. Next on the agenda is a special report, board members. So I kind of said that backwards. I just have one, actually two. One, just a reminder for all board members that we are sponsoring the Greet and Listen with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke next Wednesday at Mile 11. And two, for me personally, the Jamaica Diaspora Alliance is a new organization. We'll be doing a march to represent Jamaica and Jamaican culture and heritage on August 12th. Please look out for the flyers for that. Again, this Jamaica Diaspora Alliance that will be doing some work to highlight the positive impact that Jamaicans have done here and people who are along the diaspora have done in the last umpteenth years, and also moving along with the 61st anniversary of Jamaica's independence. Ms. Frazier, just a quick question. This notice you gave me earlier from governor, is that supposed to be shared? All right, so our final announcement from the governor, we as a community board and members of the constituents are invited tomorrow morning. Short notice, but you're invited nonetheless. Thursday at 9:45 a.m. is the start time. Doors open at 9 a.m. This is from the governor at the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance, which is at 15 Metrotech Center. So the space is limited. It says to RSVP by today, but that don't make no sense because it's tonight. So if you come in, it's RSVP to Debbie Lewis, and that's Debbie.Lewis, that's Debbie, DEBBIE.Lewis @exec with a exec.nyc.gov. All right, so she is the regional representative for Governor Kathy Hochul. So she has invited us to that engagement in the morning. I will be there, and I think the birthday girl will be there too. So if anybody else is coming, please do let us know. All right, with that being said, are there any unfinished business? Are there any new business? Hearing none, I hope everybody enjoyed their Juneteenth. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Rose Graham, wait. Rose, please say your name and the motion. Berlin Fields, I heard you second. Please state your name and second. All right, good night, everyone. Have a beautiful evening, and thank you. Is it online? JL, can you send a link online to everybody?